So, good morning everyone. It's a slightly different video I thought this year as we're coming up to the Christmas time period, and I thought what I'm going to do is I'm also going to share a video in relation to what's just happened last night. So if you're watching from overseas, here in the UK yesterday, we had a general election. And what that means is that we vote for our political parties and the people that we want to lead the country. And the reality is in the UK, it was a weird one really, because there's a guy that's won this morning, a guy called Boris Johnson, who's now won a majority. But being honest, no one really liked either one of the candidates. And again, by the way, I should say this, I'm not going to say anything pro or negative about any elements around these groups of parties. I think politics is all generally a bit hard work. I don't really buy into any of it, if I'm honest with you. I'm not a particularly apolitical. I'm an apolitical person either way. I focus on myself, and I'll talk about that in point 5. And what I thought I'd do is just spend a few moments just sharing some examples of why I think politics is like sales. And at a very macro level, but the key messages are very much the same thing. And I thought I'd do that with a Christmas backdrop. I'm working at home today, but I thought it'd be useful to share it with some thoughts as to why politics is like sales. And there are 5 key reasons that I think that politics and that Boris Johnson won in relation to the general election in the UK here, rather than the guy that he competed with, Jeremy Corbyn. But I think the first thing is he appealed to a specific audience. There are a number of people in the UK who are just frustrated at where this whole 3 years ago had a referendum around Brexit. People voted out, and people are frustrated about that, and especially people in the north of the country. And he went after that group of people in this election with a specific message. And the reason why that's the same with sales is that you have to know who your target customer is in order to go after them with a specific message. If you don't have that, I was just literally on the phone this morning while I was driving back from somewhere talking to a lady who sells a great product, but she's not quite sure of the exact sweet spot of her client set. And I said to her, you've got to focus on who your product is perfect for initially. Focus on them, and then you can build on it from there. So I think the first thing is that focus on a specific client set. Or target set. And in the UK political case, Boris Johnson went after those people that were frustrated at Brexit, and where it had got for the last 3 years, it had been not taken forward. The second thing then is about key messages and about using key messages that focus on the outcomes of what people want. I said in a lot of videos before, people buy the whole, not the drill. So they buy the outcome that you give. They buy the element of that, not the actual thing that you do. And actually, I think the message that, rightly or wrongly, the campaign that Boris Johnson used was all around this get Brexit done, get these 3 words, which everyone, I've listened to radio interviews this morning, and even Labour politicians, the opposition politicians are saying that mantra. So, and it was the same as Donald Trump in America. He talked about make America great again, make America great again. And everyone just bought into these words. And the key thing in sales, we've got to have a key message that resonates with the end user and the outcome that they get. And that resonated with the target audience because they were frustrated at Brexit. They were frustrated at where the country was. And he kept repeating time and time again these same things. And again, I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of whether he's lying or truthful. There's a lot of people who've got comments around that. But he repeated the same thing time and time again. And that certainly engaged with people and made them feel that there was a clear message. And every time he spoke to people, he talked about that message. So I think that's another key thing, that in sales, focus on your USPs. What are the outcomes that people gain from using your solution? And focus on those outcomes consistently in the way in which you engage, in the way in which you talk to people. The third thing I think around the UK general election was around, there were 2 parties that generally compete in the UK. Like in America, it's the Republicans and the Democrats. In the UK, it's Labour and the Conservatives. And Labour basically put up a person called Jeremy Corbyn, who's been their leader for a while. It's a new style of politics. Some really good ideas that have come through there, and very much on the working side of people, whereas the Conservatives generally on the richer side, supposedly. And he put up a number of different policies. But one of the things I think that Jordan Belfort talks about in his sales training programs, which I think is really key to this, is something called 310s. And what 310s are is there are 3 key elements, if you like, to how people will buy from you. The first is you as a person. The second is your company or your service. And the third thing is your company. And then the third thing is your product or service. And if I take politics in the general election, in this case here, whilst Jeremy Corbyn may have had some really good products or services, and there were some concerns around some of those elements, his products and services were okay. His party wasn't that bad. People like the Labour Party. They've got a lot of core votes. The third one was him as a person. And the reality is, rightly or wrongly, and I try and sort of say this to people, I'm not trying to judge people or say whose side, but people across the country. Now, I was in Wales yesterday for meeting someone who is a traditionally Labour area. This guy said to me, I can't vote for him. I said, why? I just can't vote for him. He supports this or does this, and he's some stuff he said in the past. And whether I'm saying it's right or wrong, they looked at the options in front of them and thought, I can't go for that person. And I honestly believe in the UK, people have picked the least worst option rather than the best option, which is a bit of a sad state of affairs, but that's reality. And in politics and in sales, you've got to be in a position where people like you. They've got to want to work with you. They've got to think, yeah, I like that person. I like James, or I like Paul, or I like Jeremy, or I like Boris. I like these people. And I think I can work with them. I like who they are and what they stand for, and feel like they want to engage in that way. So the reality is, Jeremy Corbyn on his 310s model just didn't have enough people that liked him. Maybe the policies were good, but people just couldn't stand him. And that was a massive factor when it comes to him losing the election. And it's a massive factor when it comes to sales. You might have a great product. You might be working for a great company. But if people don't like you as a person, you're done for. The fourth thing I think, which is really also important around this and relates to how I think it's similar to sales, is when I looked at my Twitter timeline this morning, I had to go after a meeting. There was literally lots and lots of people that were blaming, literally, if you did vote, if you voted this way, you're an arsehole, or you're a tosser, or blah, 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 you're arrogant, blah, 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 all these different things around what people, had done. And it was like, one of the things that's similar to sales is an objection. So when a prospect says to you, oh, well, I don't want to buy the product because of its price is too high, how far do you get if you say to the prospect, well, I think you're wrong. You're totally and utterly wrong. You cannot be saying that because that's just totally wrong. You're wrong to think the product like the prospect would go, excuse me, bugger off. I'm not interested. And yet in politics, it's a really interesting thing. Again, I'm very open. My mind is open to lots of different things. I see lots of good and bad in everything because I think actually most of life is in the middle. But yet people that didn't support one side would then look at the other side and say, you're evil, you're angry, you're terrible. And try and get them to sort of change their opinion or mindset by shouting them, telling them they're wrong. You wouldn't do that in sales. In sales, if you said to a prospect, and even this morning, I even listened to one of the people that lost, one of the elected leaders who lost, who even at that point, instead of actually saying, hey, we got it wrong and we need to look at how we can change, we've got to look ourselves in the mirror for this, she blamed literally someone else. She blamed other people. She blamed people for doing something they shouldn't have done. So it's like you saying to your prospect, once they've chosen a competitor, you're an arsehole, you shouldn't have chosen that competitor. Do you think they're ever going to want to do business with you again? They're not. They're going to cross you out. Key thing with objections when it comes to sales is to listen to that person and say, hey, look, I appreciate you've made that call or made that decision, but can I ask why? Especially when it comes to objections, why you think the price is too high, or why you think this wouldn't be suitable for you now, or more importantly, maybe not why, but what would you need to see to feel like this is right for you, or how did that price compare? Let me understand your thoughts. If I can get inside your head as a person, I can see what's going on and I can maybe help. So being able to be in a position where you can focus on understanding someone before you try and then tell them they're wrong is so much part of the battle when it comes to sales. And I think it's a really important thing when it's come to this election that even people this side at the moment are so anti the other side. They still want to blame. They still want to, literally say someone else is at fault rather than being in a position of saying, actually, how can we try and rationalise with that person? If that person's mind's open, can we be able to rationalise and try and see why they think what they do, so see if we can then be in a position to move them forward. And that goes to my final point around politics and the election, which is probably the biggest point I want you to take from this video, and that's that politics is all around. There'll be a number of people that, again, when I looked at this morning, they were like, "Oh, I'm blaming this person. I'm blaming this reason for this. I'm blaming this for this. Someone else is at fault." And actually, the best politicians and the best salespeople, more importantly, this is about sales, look themselves in the mirror and go, "Actually, where could I have done better? What could I have done differently? I'm not going to blame X or Y. What can I have done differently?" And I think it's so important, and I use this as a final factor for you when it comes to sales and business in general, is that you can blame everything else. You can say that everyone else is at fault, whatever, but the best salespeople look themselves in the mirror and go, I didn't do something I should have done here. I could have done that differently. I could have made that better. I could have appealed in a different audience. I could have said that in a different way, whatever, and make sure that they take accountability for where they're at and what they're doing, rather than being in a position where they literally blame someone else. And I saw it this morning with politics, and I see it a lot. It's easier to blame because, it's not my fault. It's someone else's issue, someone else's problem. Someone else fixed that. You can be, and again, we'll see it again, people saying now as a result of the government, and again, I'm not supporting either side, people are now going to be, put in a terrible position. They can't achieve anything and do anything. If you want to be something, online, we have so many opportunities ourselves. You can be anything you want to be. If you're a 55-year-old man, You could be in 7 years an expert in anything. So don't let anything stop you. If you really decide that you're unhappy with your position, don't wait for the government to do something. Don't wait for someone else to tell you it's possible. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I can make this happen. And yeah, sure, look around, reach out to me. If I can help you, I'll try to help you. The reality is, you can make things happen yourself if you take that choice. But don't blame other people, and don't do what politicians are doing and blame other people and say other things are wrong. Look yourself in the mirror and say, what could I have done differently? I assure you, it's going to be a bigger factor towards you looking and getting a better result next time. So I wanted just to talk about some thoughts around, in a different way this video, because sales is like politics in the 5 reasons I thought about. But if you think I'm wrong, tell me. Put them in the comment section below. But the point of this is, like I said, focus on a clear message to your target audience. Be able to appeal to a specific group of people. Make people like you. Deal with objections in the right way. And focus on what you can do yourself as a salesperson. Focus on those elements. You're going to be far better a chance to succeed in. And you're probably going to do what Jeremy Corbyn didn't do and win in the way you want to win. So I hope that video is useful. Some ideas and some thoughts from me on how sales is like politics, and especially related to what's happened in the UK. But tell me what you think. If I'm wrong, tell me in the section below. I'd love to hear your comments and see your thoughts on what you think. But if you agree with me, great. Also share the video. It's really good to help some people that maybe have thought different things around sales and how we can help them get better sales results. Then I'd love to be able to do that. But that's it from me. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you've enjoyed. It's a bit of a different one this week, but it's a good way to share ideas and thoughts. But if you agree with me or disagree with me, put it in the section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks, guys. Have a great week, and I'll speak to you next week.